Welcome to R&B Sauce. This is DJ Pineapples, and today we have very special guests on the show. A female group that have incredible harmonies. They have such a unique and soulful sound, and have recently released their latest project, Shindo. Welcome, the Shindellas. How are you?
Hey.
We're so good.
Where are all you guys now? Are you all in? Is it Tennessee that you guys are based?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
it's
So
out
you're
of
all
Nashville, Tennessee.
nice. So the first thing I want to do is bring it back to the beginning. What are some of your first musical memories individually? Let's go around.
Oh, some of my first musical memories, and I'm Casey, they call me Love Jones, uh,
Oh,
would be movie musicals, actually. Watching Dorothy Dandridge and Carmen Jones, watching Barbara Streisand and Lena Horne sing Stormy Weather. Those are like core memories for me. And then also sing Tina Turner, just
mm,
anything Tina, like Tina doing Proud Mary, Tina and the Ikettes doing the whole thing. Those are my earliest kind of, oh, I want to do that memories.
Mhm.
what a
Yeah,
legend.
for me, my name is Stacy Blue Shenny, and some of my core memories are kind of like Casey, watching my grandma's favorite show, Grease, or her movie Grease, and singing in school choir or in church choir as a kid, um, discovering the whole production and recording process of music with a family-owned production company in Chicago called Joy Art Music, and they basically like poured all musical things into me, all expression from writing music to playing the guitar, performing and singing jingles, like all of it. So I feel like I've got a really good fill of music as a child. Yes. And this is Tam. So I got my start in the church. My mom's side of the family was super musical. And so I had aunts. My first actual duet was with one of my cousins. And we performed a song by Karen Clark Sheard, who's a gospel artist. So, like, my earliest memories are being a part of the church choir and doing solos, and then listening to like the Clark sisters and Yolanda Adams and
Mm,
CeCe Winans. Like, all the top gospel artists, like that's what I was brought up on. So yeah.
I love that. And you know what? I just feel like the best singers come from the church. Like,
Absolutely. I would have to agree with that. You are so
We
right.
always say that.
yes, and R&B and gospel is just so like close, it
Yeah.
comes from gospel. So, and
Mhm.
would you say there was like a specific album or artist that sparked your love for R&B specifically?
Mm.
There was a soundtrack for me. There was the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack that really sparked my love for R&B and like female vocalists, and like I just wanted to sing after that point. My mother would listen to that album or that soundtrack, and Whitney, um in Vogue, what was that? You got to let go. You remember the song they
Oh
sang?
yeah.
Oh my,
Don't
uh,
let, yeah.
yeah,
I
don't let
often
go.
fantasize the stars above. Oh, watching you. That one.
That
Right?
That
song.
got me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that got me for sure.
Man.
That's a good question. Case, did you want to answer, or I can?
I think it was probably Toni Braxton for me. Like, definitely, I mean, that whole 90s R&B era, like SWV, the girl groups, but Toni Braxton had that thing. Like, I just wanted to be Toni Braxton, just that sultry, soulful, tender storytelling with so much feeling. Oh my gosh. Her first two albums for sure.
For sure, and such a unique tone as well. Tone.
Mm-hmm.
Love me some Toni Braxton. For me, it would actually have to be. So this was probably the first R&B album I was able to listen to, because I could only listen to gospel music growing up, or Christian music. So I would have to say Usher Confessions was like the
Yeah,
one. I played that out. It was so crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
that's such a classic. So much
Hmm.
Usher albums are classics, to be honest. Usher is just
Absolutely.
incredible.
Hmm.
So before you formed the Shindellas, I know you were all on your own personal journeys as solo artists. Can you tell us about that?
Ooh.
Should I start?
Yeah.
My own personal journey. I always knew I wanted to be a singer. Well, since I had, met this family and they taught me all I knew, they sent me off into the world to fly on my own. I knew I wanted to sing. I knew I wanted to be a part of just expressing myself in this way. And I was working in Atlanta for a little while and writing. And I just remember being like, what am I going to do? What do I want to say? What do I want to talk about? I met Chuck Harmony in, through via sister, my sister, who's a songwriter. She introduced us. I sang for him. And I think I pulled the same thing where I just won't leave people alone. When I feel like they're a safe space and they are creative and I can learn something, I'm just going to be around you until I just learn as much as I can. You can't get rid of me. And so I just, I hung out with Chuck. I sang background vocals for him. I did demos. We worked on a Grammy Award nominated album with Leandria Johnson, which was really awesome. And my first connection to winning a Grammy or close to, Grammy nomination. Wow. And when Chuck and Claude came together, they are the two people who brought us together, actually, Chuck and Claude. They came up with the idea of the Shindellas, and they talked to me about it. They had some song ideas first, because it always starts with the music. And they talked to me about the idea of the Shindellas, and it was perfect. It is kind of what I'd been waiting for. I remember just being on the beach in Los Angeles and just thinking about how can I be a part of something bigger than myself? I don't know what that means. Of course it means be in a group. Of course it means, carry message not only for myself, but for my sisters next to me, and making our message and our mission more powerful and reaching more people, because we can see ourselves in the artists that we love, and how now there's 3 of us, and now there's more ability to reach more people. So it just felt perfect. And the music that we were singing was about empowerment and love and self-worth and respect. And, it was different than what I'd been seeing and what I'd been hearing, and actually what I wanted to hear and wanted to sing about. I wanted to make music that my mother and my sisters, my little sister could listen to, my grandmother could listen to. And I feel proud about the messaging. So I was on board after that.
That means so much, you saying that, because there definitely was a time in R&B, and even up till now, where me being a DJ as well, that so much of it is explicit as well, and I'm just I have to keep asking for radio versions, and I'm just can we just make clean, uplifting music like you're saying?
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that you guys are here.
Thank you.
Happy to
Thank
be
you.
here. I would have to say, like I said, I started in the church, and so gospel and Christian music was my foundation. And so before coming into the Shindellas, I knew I wanted to do music with a great message, and I didn't know exactly how or what it would look like. And I had done so much as a solo artist, and so I was on the journey of discovering and finding myself as an artist. And I was just posting clips of myself singing online. And Claude Kelly actually reached out to me via Instagram after crossing one of my viral videos. And he was just like, I love your voice. Me and my business partner, Chuck Harmony, are working on something special, and we'd love for you to be a part. And so, of course, I was like, let me do my little research. So I kind of researched, Claude a little bit, and I was like, absolutely, hello. So they flew me out to Nashville. I met the team. I heard the demos, and I fell in love with the vision for the Shindellas. I fell in love with the ideas and the mission and, all of it. I was like, I have to be here. I have to get here. And so that's what captivated me and pulled me in. And then after meeting Stacy and meeting Casey, it's made the whole vision more clear and more perfect. And so I knew that I needed to get here and be here. And I'm so glad I made that drive from old Dallas, Texas, a 10-hour drive.
Oh, Texas.
And you know what? That just shows as well how powerful using social media. You said it was on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
Just how it can change your life,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I guess it's my turn.
Your turn.
For me, before I came to Nashville to join the Shindellas, I had been in LA for a long time. I had been acting, writing, singing, doing theater and musical theater. And I was trying to find myself as an artist. I was writing with a lot of people, doing a lot of shows. I released an EP that I co-wrote and co-produced and was traveling. I actually did a couple shows in London at the Ruby
Oh,
Singh Showcase at Ronnie
nice.
Scott's, and toured in Japan. But I was trying to find myself as an artist. I have so many influences, you know, theater and rock and West Coast hip hop and R&B, really soul music. And so trying to put that all into something on your own is hard. And Chuck Harmony, same thing, reached out to me. We had met years ago at a networking event and stayed in touch online. And he reached out to me on, I think, Facebook actually, and was like, hey, my partner and I are working on something. We'd love to talk to you. And I've been a Chuck Harmony stan for years. I was like, oh my God, Chuck. And so I was like, yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, I'm available. Let's talk. Here's my phone number, Chuck. Call me. And he did. And he was like, talked about what he and Claude had gone through with the music industry, having had so much success, but still feeling all the same things I had been feeling, like sort of burnt out and tired of being asked to do a replica of something that already exists instead of digging into your creativity and doing the hard work of finding a way to express this thing in your mind and bring that vision to life. And to the point that they had both been talking about going back to school, Chuck going to seminary, Claude going to study world religions. And I had been on that same track. Like, I'm just going to do my music, do my theater, and go back and study spirituality in the world and all this stuff. So there was so much alignment. And they were like, well, what have you been doing? I was like, this is what I've been doing. I've just been writing, and then I'm performing with different bands and trying to find my voice. And Chuck was like, well, how would you like to do that in a girl band? And I was like, say more. And so they flew me out to Nashville, and I met Stacy, and it was the night of this huge supermoon. It was so beautiful. And we like drove around the city, and somehow in our conversation both realized we love the moon. So we just found this place to go lean back and look at the moon and just kind of talk. And I had a really, really strong feeling then. And then the next day I was at the studio listening to some of the demos for ideas they'd had for the Shindellas. And I was like, okay. I remember hearing Reconsider in particular and being like, oh, I don't care who you love. Baby, this is your life. It's okay to like the whole rainbow. I can be on board with that. And then hearing some of the other stuff, hearing the original hook that they had recorded for Fear Has No Place, which ended up becoming a Shindella song, hearing some of Louis York's stuff. And I had this moment where I was like, wow, this is right where I'm supposed to be. And then of course, meeting Tam absolutely sealed the deal. I met everybody in November 2016, and then flew back in February 2017 and met Tam. Then the three of us actually had a conversation for the first time that basically ended up being about what our fears were. You know, there's a lot of stigma around girl groups and around just women collaborating. And we had to kind of talk about what that meant for us. And it was so funny because none of us were coming in like, well, how am I going to be the lead? Well, how am I going to do this? Everyone was coming in like, I really want to do this, but you guys are nice, right? Like, we all have the same idea. We're not going to, you know, had that talk first thing about how to amplify each other's lights. And well, you see my husband in the background. And that's really when I knew. I was like, this could be something really, really special. And it has been. And it's really allowed me. So I'm going on and on, but it really, Shindellas has really given me a space to play creatively, to try different things, to bring in different parts of my personality that working in with other people, everyone's always trying to make you be one thing, but some of us just aren't meant to be that. And I love in the group, you get to see the representation of three very different voices, three very different women. But then when that harmony hits, And when that unison hits, that's the power of women. You know what I mean? That's the power of collaboration.
For sure.
It's special.
So do you know what? You talking about that? Like me personally, R&B groups are such a big part of my like musical like DNA, like growing up with TLC, Destiny's Child, En Vogue, like you're saying. And it feels like there's been some kind of like resurgence with you guys. We've got Flow, we've got One More, we've got No Guidance in the UK as well. I wanted to know, like, how does it feel to be a part of a group in 2024?
Oh my gosh. It feels amazing. I think, you know, we always say powerful things happen when women come together. And it is just so great to be three Black women that are on one accord, on a mission to, you know, uplift and to bring, you know, just good harmonies back to music again. Like it's just
Yes.
been so long, you know, and there's good harmonies, but good messaging too. So you can listen to it all the time. It's mantra music is what we call it. And a new American soul is also what we call it because that's what we coined. But yeah, it's just, it feels amazing to be leading the charge in this way and to be a part of such an incredible new path, honestly.
Yeah, we've been together 7 years. So we've definitely been sticking together and treading our own path of this new age girl group. And with it, all of these new, like insert, like you're saying, new girl groups, you know, it just feels beautiful that we can show our originality still. You know, each girl group has their own special juice, you know what I mean? Like everyone has their own thing and we have our own original sound, and it's really beautiful to see that in the music array, you know, musical array. That's great.
Feels powerful. It feels powerful, especially, and this is just my opinion, like in a time when there's so much conversation about like what women should be allowed to do and how women should be allowed to move through the world. Like the fact that those conversations are coming up again. I think it's really powerful to see three women together doing something, because through a lot of history, women have intentionally been separated, right? And I don't think it's a surprise that as you started to see the disappearance of girl groups, especially in R&B music, especially Black girl groups, you also started to see this rise of media that shows Black women in conflict a lot. And I think that there's something to that. So I think it's right now to be a part of a movement of women coming together. It's life-changing beyond music. And we call ourselves Mavericks Beyond Music. We're always having conversations like this. The music is the jumping off point. The music is the thing we all love that brought us together. But there's so much you can do through music, just energetically. And there's so much you can do by standing on stage and holding hands with two women as equals, or whatever it is, if it's 4 women, 5 women, whatever, Citizen Queen, Flo, Spice Girls, like whatever there's something about seeing that.
Sure, it's so beautiful. I want to say thank you to you ladies for coming together, because I'm so happy that we're getting girl groups back. I really missed it.
Yeah.
So I also want to say that I know you were all writers prior to being in the group. How has it been like creatively working together as a group, and what have you learned from each other?
That is such
been amazing. It's a great question. Definitely different writing in a group, especially because it's not just the 3 of us. Chuck and Claude are a huge part of the concept and the development of the Shindellas. So they had song ideas first, and then we kind of like blew open their idea of what we could sound like, because we brought our own original sound and our own perspective to their music. So the first EP, we sang the songs, we learned each other's voices, we, you know, shed a lot of our own insecurities and a lot of growth personally. And then we were able, by the second album, to say, hey, I want to talk about this. I want to sound like this. I want to, you know, we brought a little bit more of ourselves to the table. And now Shindo, this second album, is our voices and the stuff we wanted to talk about, and we wanted to sound sexy, and we wanted to be happy, and it just fits all of our inspirations, but all about like where we are right now in the world. Our music is very much about like where we are in that moment, and it has everybody's voice in it. So it's been really great writing and talking about, you know, what we want to sing about and what we want to share and what's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things oh, sorry, Tammy. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'm just going to love about the three of us, and what I've learned is that there's such a beauty in our individual perspectives, and I love to hear how we all three individually interpret songs and the lyrics that we write, because we all, like Stace was saying, we all come from different backgrounds, and we interpret things differently, and we hear things differently, and we manipulate notes and our voices differently. And so it's like a beautiful landscape when you hear the finished product, because everybody's literally bringing their best selves to the table. So that's my favorite part about working as a group.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say, per usual. Tam and I are always saying the same thing. That it's fun hearing inside people's heads. You know, even it's like, for example, Juicy.
Oh.
Juicy was so fun to write. It was so nasty, you know, it's just full of all this sexual innuendo. But hearing like how someone would say make it juicy, you know, or hearing the specific phrasing of something, like how Tam phrases something and you hear her influence, how Stace phrases something versus how I phrase something. It's just fun to get to be like, oh, that's what's in your head. And then you start to hear things differently, like other music you're listening to, you're like, oh, it's all very intellectual.
It gets you out of your comfort zone too.
It
like
does.
I definitely wouldn't, you know, be singing Make It Juicy if it was just me writing it. I'd be like, oh, would you like to liquefy things, darling? I don't know. But it just gets you out of your comfort zone working with, you know, such expressive people, and everybody has great ideas. Sometimes it's even like, whoa, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
There's a lot
in
going
the dirt.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I love that. So let's take it back to your album, Hits That Stick Like Grits.
Still sticking.
One of my standout tracks is When You're Lonely. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind that track?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that song, we always say it sounds like a Chicago stepping song. It's just pure R&B. I love that song so much. I remember recording the leads and feeling like Marvin Gaye and feeling like, you know, just like too cool. Like I needed a cigar and like to be driving an old school, you know, old school Chevy. I just felt like, just so cool, right? Chuck and Claude wrote that song. And we always start with recording the background vocals. And I just remember us it was just so smooth. Everything about it was so smooth. And we started around the piano. We recorded our background vocals. There was not I think we recorded it to a click, right? So it was just like our vocals and a snap. And then Chuck went in as a producer and built all the music around it.
Oh wow. And so the vocals were first.
The vocals next to the piano were first. And then we recorded to a snap. Chuck came in with the music, and then we heard it all down and we were like, we got to do this again. We got to come back in. We got to record. You know, he brought it to another level. It was like, it's just so sexy. And even though it's like
Sexy.
sexy, we're talking about like, don't call me, which was, you know, a really cool juxtaposition. And I think it was like a really fun song to perform. It's a fun song to record and
It's so fun to
perform.
perform.
Yeah.
That song was crazy too, because it was one of those times where Chuck and Claude had been like listening to our conversations. Like, you know, we're all at the workshop, just talking, doing our thing. And it was COVID. We're all under quarantine. And every single one of us at the studio was getting those DMs like, hey, big head. Long time. And we were like, why are you texting me now? Because you're lonely. And they were like, we have a song.
That's the thing though, like conversation and just being in the studio all talking, and then people are in their mind, they're writing, they know exactly where the next song's gonna go, and it makes the best songs as well. Conversation.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your latest project, Shindo. First of all, what does Shindo mean?
Ooh.
Shindo is goosebumps.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I
I was
love
just gonna
that.
say it's a made up word, so it's a word we use in the studio all the time, and it's the word we use whenever we feel like this like electric, like chills up your spine kind of feeling, like when you hear something that inspires you, or when you're like when you do something that inspires you, like we call that like a shindo, and yeah, and that's actually what we're named after too. So the Shindellas are the
Wow.
ladies who bring the chills. And so we felt that name would be befitting for this album because, you know, if people needed to know that that word existed. We actually need to get that in the dictionary because I feel like more people are going to be using it soon.
I feel like that's so important though, because for me, like I love new R&B, but there definitely was a point where I wasn't getting as much feeling, so I'd go back to the old school stuff, you know. So I'm so happy because music's so powerful. It makes you cry, like you said, it gives you like goosebumps. You know, it's just makes you feel so emotional. So having you guys back, giving all the feelings, like I'm
Yeah.
so happy you guys are here. And another song from the project that instantly made me feel good is Ooh La La. It
Oh
sounds like
yeah.
literally like classic 80s soul that my mom would play. What was the creative process of that track?
Oh, no.
That's my
That one,
jam.
that one is such a
An
party.
amazing song.
That was actually the last song we recorded for the album. Claude was like, I have this idea and I want to share it with you guys. So we went to the studio actually, and he was singing it down for us, and we all were like, yes, absolutely, let's do it. And I mean, I remember recording the leads for that particular song, and like I was in there for I want to say it was like at least 5 hours straight. Claude did not let me leave. Like I was in there and I was doing it over and over again because it was just one of those songs where it's like you have to feel it. You have to be able to emote on this song because it's one of those songs like it is a feel good song, but it's like you got to still be given on those vocals too. So
For
I mean,
sure.
we were all just we sang down on that, but that's one of my favorites too. Absolutely.
You know what I love about that one too, especially the fact that you were in the studio, like you were in a prison camp working, is that song, Tam, like when we recorded that song, it was like Tam had just like fully stepped into her soft girl era. You had just fallen in love and you were like in this whole, like floating on cloud nine. And they're like, okay, let's capture that. Sing, woman. You know, like
That's exactly what it
it was
was.
just so
Do it again.
coming down sweating, like
No
water.
food. She didn't eat.
No
She did not
food.
stop for like. Did you
But do
even
you know
stop to use the
what?
bathroom?
I did not stop. I didn't stop.
I love that though, because you know, in some songs, like you'll have a great vocal performance, but it's about the connection and
Yes,
believe in someone when they're singing. So yeah, they were making you
exactly.
work, but hey, do you know what
Exactly.
they made it. They made it
Yeah,
happen, and
they
you
did.
killed that.
Thank
I love that
you.
track. So recently, you released a remix of "Think of Me" with Q Parker from 112. Ladies, this song set one of my favorite songs. I know it came out at the end of last year, but then you had the remix this year. It's actually one of my favorite songs in recent times. Like I think it's such an incredible song. Brings me right back to the 90s. I've
Yes.
had it on constant rotation on r&bsauce in London. And I want to know, how did that collaboration come about?
Oh man, he heard the song. He heard our song, and he was like, what is this? And he knew Chuck, who had produced it. So he called him and was like, I need to be on this song. Just send me the song. I need to be on this. And what an awesome guy. Q Parker, he returned it like 2 days later, not even 2 days later, with his vocals on there. And we heard it and we were like, oh, I mean, I feel like he really did like bring there's romance in it now. Like, I feel like there was longing in it before, and now there's like, it just means so much more. And after we released it, I remember feeling like, oh, this song means something different to people. Like, people were using it as like a reference for when they've lost somebody and like they're in heaven and think of me. Like, I didn't think of it that way. I was just thinking of like, oh, we're separated and we're not together anymore, like COVID or something, you know, or like traveling or on tour and you don't see someone. But they were attaching it to loss, and that was really beautiful to see. And so his remix brought in the romance again. So it's more about, it feels like it's more about like, okay, we can still be together one day. And you know, people are going to take it how they do, but
And didn't you,
I just
Stacey, you
like it.
cried? I heard something like that. You cried recording it or something like that.
Oh yeah, oh
my
yeah.
gosh.
I did. I hadn't sang like that in a really long time. I'd been, I feel like itching to sing in that way, and I sang it, heard it back, and I cried, and I think the girls had it.
But I haven't heard
Holding her
like,
on the couch.
I haven't
And then
heard
I was like, I need to
vocals
do it
like that
again.
though. But I haven't heard vocals like that in a song for so long. Like, and the fact that you said that he recorded his vocals separately then, yeah? It sounds like you guys were in the studio together. Like, I would have no idea. Like, you guys done such an amazing job. And the bridge as well, like all the way to the end, I'm so engaged in that song. Like, that's a modern day R&B classic to me for sure.
Yeah, like you need a satin button-up shirt with the wind blowing it back, just arms spread, just, you
Singing in the
know.
rain.
Yeah.
Do you remember Allure and One Twelve All Cried Out? Like, it gives me that kind of feel. Do you remember that
Yes, I
song?
love that song.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought
Oh,
of when I heard it.
God,
What a song. But just
what
the
a
feeling
song.
and emotion in it, it just brings me back to that time.
I love it.
Absolute classic, ladies. Love it. So I want to
Thank
also
you.
talk about your inspiration, because it sounds like, you know, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I want to know, like, what is special about them eras to you, ladies?
Raw.
Oh my God. It's raw.
Yeah, we didn't have all the tricks, you know. They might have like a good mic or get a room with like good reverb, like you choose the room based on the sound you're trying to get. We didn't have all the after effects. So you really get to hear what people sound like. And everyone sounded different. You would hear it and you'd be like, that's Donny Hathaway. That's Aretha. You're not confusing Aretha and Tina. Now I wonder what would happen. People take those voices and kind of compress them and make them into this perfect thing. For me, that's what's different, is like you really get to hear people's vocal fingerprints. You really get to hear people's musical fingerprints. You get to hear, oh, that's this bass player. Oh, this is Muscle Shoals. Oh, this was recorded over here. You can tell because it was human.
Yeah.
That's so true. Do you know what? That's something I also really agree with, because like auto tune now, I can hear it when I put on a song, like that robotic feeling. And again, like the connection just isn't there as much because that's in the way, you know? So yeah, the real vocals for sure.
The real vocals. I was gonna say, like, just to piggyback off that, I think my favorite thing about those eras was the standard of excellence. Like, you had to be like at a level as a performer and an entertainer for people to even pay attention. And every single artist from those times, like, they delivered that. Like, they made you pay attention. They made you fall in love. You were gonna hear them, and I love that so much.
That's so true. Nowadays, it's a lot easier, right? With like TikTok and everything to get your stuff out there. And yeah, the talent years ago, it's different.
Recording live too. The recording process being different, like Casey was saying. The actual musicians being in the space as you're recording, the layers and the sounds of the instrument, like the instrumental, the tracks, it's completely different. Like I think we are definitely bringing in that vibe. Like the 70s, the 80s, 90s all had like stacks. Like you don't just have like 4 tracks. It's like almost 100 tracks, or you're like 50 plus tracks of layers, and Chuck has so much fun with that. Like you cannot, his Pro Tools is ridiculous. Like you're like looking at like, what is this? It's mad scientist. But it makes such a difference when you feel the music and when you hear it, and it just kind of like feels like a wall or a rush over you. I chase that sound in music, like from any age, any generation. If you can press play and then it just like that Shindo happens. I would say that with the Four Tops, Reach Out, or I think that's what it's called. I'll be there. Like as soon as you hear it, it's like whoosh, and you're like, oh my God, I love this. I chase that feeling, and I strive to have our music have that feeling. And Chuck and Claude are really great at that too, bringing that like wash over feeling onto the sound, and I just love that so much.
For sure, I agree with all of you. So the Shindellas, I want to get into some questions about R&B. What are your top 3 modern day R&B classics?
Ooh.
Top 3 modern day.
So like the last 5 years, I would say.
Oh, okay. Can I start? Am I doing 1 or 3?
I mean, can you do 3? Have you got 3 to on the top of your head?
I think I do have 3. Within the last 5 years, I would have to say October London's Back to Your Place is a favorite. The Shindellas Think of Me. And also the Shindellas Volcano Love. Those are my top 3.
Love that.
Oh,
no bias, I promise.
Stole some of mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I go?
Go, Case.
Okay. I would say, okay. I would say October London Mulholland Drive. I would say, is this the last 5 years, Louis York Velvet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's last
Velvet, or things I should have said, but we'll go with Velvet. And I would say the Shindella Something That I Want to Say.
Wow.
I love the October London shout out as well, because he's so Marvin Gaye, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Oh, it's hard. I'm gonna say Shindellas Ooh La La, because Silk Sonic, they definitely a classic. I'm trying to decide which one, if it's like Leave the Door Open or if it's their
remake.
What's the other one? It's like a really cool
is it a remake? Is it the remake?
Is that the, I think so. It's like their new, Love Train.
Yeah.
Love Train. Does that count? Because it was classy. Yeah, that one is fire. Sonic Love Train, Shindellas, and I don't know why this song is like popping up in my head, but Babyface and Tony. Lord knows I'm gonna hunt you.
Yeah.
I love
Love, Marriage, and Divorce.
Yes.
Oh my
That's
God.
one of my top 3.
Yeah.
That song is a classic. When I first heard it.
That's one of my top 3 albums of the last 5 years, for sure. Shout out to Tam for introducing it to me.
Oh, really? I didn't even know I did that.
Oh my God. Well, Tam, we were roommates, and I don't listen, especially when I'm working on music, I don't listen to a lot of music. I listen to old stuff, instrumental stuff, classical music, like, but Tam is like an R&B head. And so you could have a blog. I mean, you should, honestly. Your Instagram stories are kind of a blog.
Yeah.
That's really interesting though, because I remember like Missy Elliott talking about being in the basement with like Timbaland and Devontae. He wouldn't want them to like listen to anything else because he didn't want it to like influence their sound. So is that kind of something that you do then? You just kind of want to create your own thing?
Yeah.
It
makes
sense.
It's one of those things when we're underwater, like if we know we're recording an album, I personally limit what I listen to, but then we also do kind of pull some inspiration at times. I mean, because it just makes for a prettier picture, if you will. But yeah.
So what
Yeah, I
about your
remember.
top three? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Top three, what?
R&B albums of all time.
Oh, of all
Oh,
This is of all
time.
time now. Yeah.
Okay. Can I use that soundtrack as one of my albums?
Yeah.
Waiting to
Waiting to
Exhale.
Exhale. Yes, of course. That's
That's a good
excellent.
one.
Babyface excellence.
yes.
Yeah, soundtrack is probably one of my favorites of all time. Top three. Shindellas, Shindo. Does that count?
You gave me my answer, Stace.
Definitely. Listen, you need to. You need to say
Yes.
yourselves.
Anita Baker.
Uh-oh.
What's that album? Sorry. I'm trying to think of the name of the album.
I get it, because I'm just gonna say
I mean,
Aretha
all of
Franklin.
them. I would just say
My
Anita
answer.
Baker.
Exactly.
No, it's
Aretha.
Rapture. I think it's Rapture. You
Yeah.
bring me joy. Yeah, Anita Baker and Rapture is definitely up there. Shindellas, Shindo. And who'd I say?
Waiting to Excel.
Waiting to Exhale
Yeah.
Sound. There's my
Love
three.
that. Love
That's a
that.
solid three.
Yeah.
That was a solid three. You want to go, Case? Or you guys?
I'm thinking, because I would say Mary was the 411. I would say and Usher, but which Usher?
What, 8701 or
Yeah, that's the
8701
question.
or
Confession?
that? Yeah, but how do you choose? It's like
How do you
one.
choose?
It's one.
Right.
How do you choose Aretha?
Yeah, that is.
And I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say Hits That Stick Like Grits. I don't care.
Do it.
Because it is. Because
For
in
sure.
30 years, they're gonna look back and be like, dang, they were cutting up like this. And we're gonna be like, yes, we were.
For sure.
Okay, so I'm just gonna take it from when I was able to start listening to R&B music.
R&B.
So that's like the early 2000s. So if we take it from there, I would have to say, of course, Usher Confessions, Tweet, Southern Hummingbird.
Love Tweet.
Love her so much. And of course, the Shindellas Shindo.
Love those choices.
Yeah.
I know it's a really hard question, but just today, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It changes.
For sure. So what about some producers that you would like to work with?
Ooh.
Pharrell. Or just the
I'd love to
Neptunes, both
see
Chad
that.
and Pharrell, honestly.
I would
Baby
love to
Face.
see.
Yes.
Harmony Samuels.
Mm-hmm.
Love to work with Harmony.
Missy Elliott. Period.
Did you guys get to go to our show, the recent show?
No.
We have not gone to that. Are they coming to Nashville?
They're coming to Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
Oh, right.
Like she's doing like 4 days in Atlanta, I think.
A lot of our faves kind of be skipping over Nashville, and I have a feel a way about that. I'm like, we got to go to Atlanta to see y'all or to Memphis, but like, come to Nashville because we are here and ready.
We are here. We are worthy.
Yeah.
I saw that tour and I was just like, oh, being in London, you know, like I hope she does come over here as well. Because Missy Elliott, I've been waiting years to see her live. Like she's such an icon, like, a legend, just everything that she does, you know, she's just I would love to see her with you guys working together because with R&B, she hasn't done anything for a while. She done something with Flo recently. I don't know if you guys heard that.
Yeah.
Girl thing. Yeah.
It was
And
so good.
it is. And I'm just so happy to like see her out performing again. And yeah, hopefully manifesting it for you guys. So I want to know, when it comes to the Shindellas, who are you guys listening to when it comes to like current R&B? Who's on your playlist? Like not the throwback, currently. Is there anyone that you would say?
Yes, I have some.
Lucky Day, Victoria.
Yeah. No, go ahead. You're good. Go ahead. You're already going.
You mentioned like
now you
my
go.
two, Lucky and Victoria. Just incredible.
Yeah.
Henny.
Kenyon Dixon is
I
probably
love
my
Kenya.
top ones.
Mhm.
Who else? Oh my gosh. India Shawn is one of my favorites.
Yes.
You guys have great taste. These are
Mhm.
like my tops as well.
Yes.
I really like God, the duo,
Yeah,
GAWD.
yes.
Mm,
So good.
A lot of good duos right now, I
Mhm.
feel like.
for sure. So are you guys fans of like D-Mal as well? Because I'm like such a big
Uh,
D-Mal fan.
Obviously,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
He's like the soundtrack for current day R&B. Like he's that guy. Like he's the go-to guy. Lucky, Victoria, Silk Sonic. Oh my
India
God.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah.
And he's
Oh,
definitely
that'd
got
be
that
fire.
70s feel as well.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mhm.
throwback sound, you know.
Okay, so
So
let's add him
we gotta link up with him, you know?
let's add him to the list of producers for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great match. Like
Yeah.
you guys with his sound.
Mhm.
Hopefully again, Missy and D-Mal. That would be
Amazing.
Return shout
incredible.
out.
So what are your plans for the rest of 2024?
We're going to have a residency here in Nashville, in our
Nice.
hometown. We haven't actually done that yet. We kind of hit the ground running, just touring and doing shows when we came together. But this will be our first time to like settle in and do something local regularly. So we're all really excited about that. And we're hoping to hop over the pond and come see y'all
Yes,
Yes.
you need to come to
if you'll
London.
have us.
We would
Yes.
love to.
That is the plan. We are trying to go international, and we're also, I mean, it's about that time to start looking at this next release of
100.
music. So
Mm.
yeah,
Have you
more on that.
guys been working on that?
We are in the process. We're actually what we call boot camping right now. So we are, gearing up for that for sure.
So what is
Mhm.
the process for you guys like when you're doing an album? Because you guys must be recording a lot. How do you like get the track list ready? Because I'm guessing that you guys are recording so much material. How do you decide like what's gonna make it and what's not? Is it hard, especially with all your different voices, you know?
We have a giant cork board in our conference room, and it's our vision board. And so we've got all of our goals and stuff like pinned up there. And as we record songs, we write them down and we pin them on the board, and we just keep moving positions until we see the story. We're very story centered. So how does it feel? What's the journey we're going on? Where does the beginning, middle, and end, like that theater part of it? And that makes it easy. That really clarifies what fits. And there's been some songs we love that just didn't quite fit, So we're like, okay, where can we put this next time or for later?
I love that though, because I love to just put an album on from start to finish and it feels so cohesive and everything goes from one track to the other. And like you're saying, it actually tells a story. I really appreciate that about you guys again, bringing great music back, you know? So I just want to if you guys could let everyone know your socials and where to follow you guys and keep updated.
Yes, we are at the Shindellas on all platforms. THESHINDELLAS on IG, Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, wherever you want to
TikTok.
find us. TikTok and in your local Chuck E. Cheese.
How are you guys finding TikTok? Do you guys enjoy using that?
We're finding it.
We're finding it. We're finding
Yeah.
there's so much. There's just so much like. I mean, it's an overload of content and things, and so it's like trying to sift through and find our way through that. But it's a great tool. So once we master it, we're gonna be on our way.
And
For
as a
sure.
collective, we really like to present an aesthetic. Like you see that from the way we came out. We didn't just come out we're indie. We're very indie. We're doing everything ourselves basically and collaborating with some amazing people. We came out in head to toe sequin custom couture jumpsuits. We were like, we're here. We have a show.
Yes.
And so TikTok,
our first show.
It's just like TikTok in its essence is really informal, which is great and works for it. But it's finding that amongst the three of us is how to keep it Shindellas. And so, you know, every platform kind of has its own personality. And I feel like Instagram matches our personality the best.
Yeah.
But but it's a good challenge and a good way of like looking at, okay, well, there's these other parts of ourselves we want to share. Maybe over here, we can do it in this way. Because you also don't want to be doing the same thing everywhere. But then social media becomes like its own full-time thing to try to keep it fresh and keep it current and also
it's
rehearse.
Hard work. It's hard work, but it can be such a great tool. As we were saying earlier, like with you guys, stories of being like discovered as well, you know. But yeah, TikTok for me is something that I've kind of like, it's probably the one that I use the least, but I know just how powerful that it can be.
Yeah, it can.
I just want to say thank you so much to Shindellas for coming on R&B Sauce. Thank you for giving us beautiful harmonies and real singing and for putting the music first. We appreciate you as R&B lovers. Everyone, please go and stream and purchase the Shindellas music. They are incredible. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, guys.